Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good to see you.
You too. So we don't really have a topic today. We're going to do knowing us, I'm going to throw out the first thing and that'll take us the full half hour. But in
That's
theory,
right.
we have a potpourri of topics because we couldn't really land on one big thing to talk
Right.
through.
Which is probably good news, right? There's not a
We've
burning
solved
fire.
everything.
That's right. And seen. I don't know about that, but it feels good to have a week where there's not something shutting down, a major algorithm change,
True.
a fire.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the smaller stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things that has been on my mind is like this intersection of social media management and influencer
Mm.
marketing.
Hmm.
So, for some background, we're helping out an agency that is doing a social media management initiative, and they're super creative, amazing agency working with a client. And it makes sense for them to be very involved in the social media management because they have these big ideas. Like, they're really good. I mean, I hesitate to call anything viral because like by the nature of viral, you can't call something viral and have it be so.
Right.
But they're good at coming up with stuff that has a good chance of that. So they have that whole thing going for them. We've been helping them in just to kind of standardize their reporting and understand platform updates and changes and algorithms. And I've just been thinking, what's been really interesting to me is that even though we don't call ourselves a social media management agency, and we really have been exclusively influencer marketing, how much we know about social media management and how much the two fields overlap in terms of required knowledge.
Hmm.
Like, I'm always game to try to help another agency and be collaborative, but I kind of led with this isn't our thing, but I think we could help. And I've been like kind of surprising myself with our
Yeah.
helpfulness.
Yeah. Okay. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I want to hear your maybe top three things that have surprised you that you know. But first, just want to underscore the same thing that with our work with influencers, it embeds us so much in the culture of social media, the algorithms, the trends. There's this temptation, but I know the content creation and distribution, social media is a hungry baby and it's laborious. So I think you're probably finding that sweet spot of thought leadership and expertise around it without having to kind of get dirty in the social media creation.
Yeah, I mean, you need, like, I was reading Leah Haberman did an interview with the woman who oversees Duolingo's LinkedIn.
Okay.
And of course, Duolingo is known more for TikTok, but they have a presence on all the major platforms. I think the LinkedIn team alone had 4 people on it.
Resource rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's a major barrier to entry in social media management is finding someone who has the right voice, someone who has that level of creativity to be constantly chit-chatting about it, to be creating, there's a certain skills, like a technical expertise that's needed to be creating the content. And then with some of the brands and their social media management, there's also an inner community there. What I've been told is that they have their own secret Slack communities where they're brainstorming and collaborating, and then they comment on like there's a whole
That's cross brand, you mean?
cross brand.
Okay.
So like brands that are completely different, not related to each other at all.
Hmm.
But I keep wanting to say the word underbelly, which sounds not quite right for this, but where they're,
Right.
where you and
Yeah.
I, like, let's say I'm looking at things. You were doing Awala bottles, and I was with some candle company or Caddis readers. I'm looking at all my old lady things on my desk. Um, but we wanted to like build up our respective profiles. We would be in the Slack community, and I'd be like, okay, Casey, you're the reading glasses, and you're gonna pretend to die, and then I'm gonna come in with my water bottle, and like they're
Right.
planning things
Got
out.
it. Almost little vignettes or scenarios. That is a big lift. I mean, it's creative and fun, but it's, again, I think most, whether it's influencer, social, the outside in view can be, this is sexy and fun, this is marketing and creativity. And the truth is, it takes collaboration and planning. Even if something's spontaneous, you have to have the viral crash cart ready to go when you start to see a piece of content take off so that you can nurture it in the right way and have 17 more pieces of content that look just like it to flood the zone. None
And
of
that's
it
for the
is.
content that you're creating from scratch. There's also the whole element of jumping into trends as they happen. So
Yes.
you're not like seeing, mindful and demure in August of 2024 and posting about it in February of 2025.
Right. Or even September of 2024. Let's face it, 2 weeks later, you look like a putz if
Yeah.
you're now, still tapping those. And that's what I mean. Being spontaneous takes preparation, which is so oxymoronic, but it's true. Planning, like maturity around your processes and your systems for creating. So, okay, so back up though. What are some of your, we do know that, or I do know that. That was surprising to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know what's going on with the platforms because it informs the instructions and that we give to our influencers and the programs that we put together for our clients. So, for example, we knew that Reels went up to 3 minutes because that impacts what we're selling and
Right.
what we're telling people to do. We knew when the carousels on Instagram added additional frames.
Right.
Are those called frames? Additional photos for the photo carousels. Yeah, so the platform updates, I would say we're just as informed as a
Hmm.
social media management
Well, I'll
agency.
do you one better. I feel like you know the facts of the matter, but you also know the impact of those updates or changes
Mm-hmm.
because you're working on them in real time through lots of different avenues,
Right.
lots of different influencers that you're in touch with,
Yeah.
and you're seeing the results in real time. So it's more than just like, okay, we can do a longer reel. It's like, well, should you? Here's where it works. Here's where it doesn't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So knowing when to do them. I think also understanding the algorithms of the platforms is something that we have to stay on top of. So knowing that, yes, static images on Instagram work really well, and it's actually good to have a number of them because it will keep showing. That helps you with the algorithm because the algorithm will keep showing that carousel to people over and over with a different first image that you see until it gets that engagement
It's
from the users.
testing using your content.
Yeah.
So the more content you give it to test, the better
Yeah.
everybody sort of does and feels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
we know the algorithms, we know the platform updates. I mean, and then some of it's just like a vibe, like we know the vibe. Like I can look at a piece of content and say like that's an Instagram content that should not be on TikTok.
Hmm? Do you put that? Okay. So wait, that's for the social media client, but do you do that with your own clients? Or do
Yeah.
you set it up so that it doesn't even happen, that gets confused?
This is a weird time to ask that question because we're in this moment where we don't know how like if TikTok's going to suddenly go away again. So we've been acting a little bit more platform agnostic. And I think Instagram is becoming a little bit more TikTok-y
Yeah.
because it's had to. And just this news came out yesterday that they're now testing a Reels only app.
Yes. Okay.
So I think that distinction's getting a little bit more fuzzy, but it still stands that TikTok feels a lot more casual and Instagram feels a little bit more formal. There's just a different vibe.
Yeah. I mean, I can even see my kids absolutely shunning anything overly branded, overly produced on TikTok. They just want raw, weird, unhinged things that, they understand as a subset of another subset. I have a question for you around what you're saying, or a comment that actually got me thinking today and a little bit fired up. I saw somebody on LinkedIn who would be an expert in our space say, and this is like fill in the blank, it could be any of us that said this: I'm going to be speaking at X conference in 2 weeks. I'm so excited. Here's the registration code. And my panel, or this person and I, are speaking on everything you need to know about the creator economy in 2025. I'm like, what? In your 20 minutes on stage, you're going to tell us everything? Tell me everything. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Maybe it's poor marketing in terms of writing that
Yeah.
little blurb.
Or maybe AI wrote it.
Don't even. Yeah, you're right. Maybe. But I feel that this is the case all over the place, whether it's a post that somebody writes on LinkedIn, it's these events. Like there's this value placed on, I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to unlock it for you. And you and I both know it is a deep dive. Like you just said vibe. And it's not really a vibe. It's like this, you know, these platforms and the content so well because you've been immersed in it. So you're the fish swimming in the water. You can't tell the water's there. The water ain't a vibe. Like the water is just your environment, so you know how to swim.
I think there's something else going on here. So we had a conversation with a potential client yesterday that was introduced to us by an intermediary. So like like it was just like this massive game of telephone, and this program was mostly sold in by someone 2 layers away from me. And then the client just kept having questions and questions. And finally, I was like, just let me talk to this person directly. This is going to take 16 years if we don't do that. So we got on the phone with this guy, and it was kind of a bummer. It was a bummer of a conversation because we were talking about influencer marketing and also creator generated content. And he was making comments like, well, I just don't see how this is any different. Like, why I couldn't just do this myself and walk out my door and just grab someone random off the street and have them create content. Like, how is that any different from what you are proposing to me? Which basically, like, you know, that story about Picasso where I'm going to totally get this wrong, where he like draws something on a napkin
Yes.
and someone asks him to sign it and give it to him. I might be muddling two different Picasso stories, but it's something like you're not paying for the 30 seconds it took me to draw this on the napkin. You're paying for the
Yes.
30, 50 years, whatever years
Yes.
that it took me to know how to do this on
Right.
the napkin.
All the things that I will be saving you from, you won't ever know that I saved you from.
Right.
Is what's bundled into our work, our fee, our results.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what, when that woman is saying, I can explain everything you need to know in 20 minutes, that's the exact same. That's the exact same thing that's going on with this schmuck who's telling me that, like, he doesn't need me because he can just go grab Joe Schmo off the street.
Yeah, do it.
And with no, like, okay,
Have fun.
so there's no creator brief. Oh, there's no strategic brief that even before that. Like, oh, how are you measuring it? Like, how are you giving him direction? Do you know what to check for? Are you aware of how disclosures work? Do you know how to amplify this? Like, no, he's just going to grab Nancy off the street there and it's all going to be taken care of.
And there is that opportunity. Can work with people off the street all the time. It reminds me of when brands, I'm picking on brands, but I guess that's who does this. They want to run these sweepstakes. Give people a $2,500 prize to upload a fully produced video back to the Doritos, but more for the layperson. Like, we just want them to take a quick video in the store of them buying this. I'm like, that is never going to happen. It's too much work. So your friend, go for it. Go try it. For the record, we've said putz and schmuck. Like, we have a good track record in this one. But yeah, go try to do that and see.
Yeah, good luck, Jim.
And
have fun.
You won't like it and you'll say influencer marketing doesn't work. That's the part that pisses me off is it's like trying to change your own oil in your car and saying, Ford doesn't know how to build a car or something. Like, well, you're not the person who should be doing that unless, it's probably a terrible analogy, but
I got it.
It's disheartening.
Yeah.
It's disheartening to be on that call and just have them chip away with no irony or like no awareness. You've been in it for 20 plus years, you just said. How on earth could you have a 20-year career in something that the Joe Schmo could walk out and do? They would be doing it. The brands would be doing it.
Well, and we had sent a sample piece of content. This has turned into me venting about the mean man I met yesterday. We had sent over a sample piece of content to give him a sense of the type of thing he might get. And the sample piece of content was for a health insurance company, which is not the easiest thing to do influencer marketing for because it's not sexy or exciting, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this lovely piece of content with a woman and her daughter going through a little, very young daughter going through their day. And she was just kind of, and so it was like fun to watch because the kid was cute. And she was just kind of peppering in some insights about why she really was happy about this insurance, that, you know, you didn't need referrals, which saved her time because she's a busy mom, and just sharing some of this stuff. And it was a lovely piece of content, and actually it drove like a ton of traffic to the site to get more information, was incredibly effective for the brand,
Mm-hmm.
outperformed any of the display advertising that they had done, is considered a huge success. And this was just one piece of content. And he was like, I hated it. That thing was so boring. It was just some mom with her kid. Why do I want to watch a mom with her kid just going through her day?
Lord, you're not the target audience. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that makes me crazy. You know, along those lines, we just presented one of our follow up, like final reports for a campaign. And in our reporting, we take a look at the imagery and we talk about the imagery because it's so vital to an influencer campaign, whether it's still or video. So much goes on subliminally, psychologically, with good imagery that if you're not tuned into it, you don't understand. And I'll give you an example. We ran a wellness program. We've run many, many wellness programs, but for instance, in Australia. And the Australian community, by and large, the culture is very suspicious of magic potions, snake oil, magic wands. Like they don't want the quick fix, unlike the US where we love
Mm-hmm.
it. They're very cynical. They want Mother Nature, they want tried and true, echinacea, elderberry, vitamin C, zinc. So, in putting together a program for a new wellness product, we had to keep all of that in mind and navigate that very cautiously. And the imagery that came out of it would have this product that is a scientifically backed and researched and excellent product, but it's in a bottle, so it's obviously a not natural, right?
Right.
Not, but surrounded
Processed.
by berries and kiwi and bananas. And that is brilliant marketing because now the thing that the Australian audience is going to lean into for health is giving a halo impact for that new product. We got zero pushback on it. We got zero cynicism from the consumers that or the audience that saw it. Same thing with kids and dogs and cats and pets. They warm an audience up. They help soften a marketing message.
Yeah.
It's important. And ding dong, who didn't get it
Yeah. Well,
is
and
going
there's
to miss
also
out.
there's trends too. So like with one of our clients, we do a ton of get ready with me content. And I mean, I am sure there are a ton of people in this country, in this world, who have no interest in watching someone put their makeup on and getting ready for the day and don't understand why that's appealing. And if you are not aware of how social media works, it's going to seem completely bizarre and inane and not
Yep.
relevant, and why am I doing this? But the fact of the matter is those perform incredibly well in the algorithm. People like watching them, especially people within a certain generation, and it's a great way to get a message out about a product.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So it's right influencer, it's right channel, it's right messaging, it's the right content form structure, like you said. Is it a get ready with me? Is it a day in the life? Is it a mom and daughter having a conversation? Or yeah, it's all of it is very nuanced. I'm very proud of us. I'm going to just say it over and over. People will get sick of me like touting how important it is to have this knowledge and to have these nuances embedded in what we do for brand clients. But it's why it's successful. I guess, we've run into our people along the way. It's 2025. We run into plenty of people that are like, why is this impressive? We don't want to do it. Less so more frequently. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's a dying breed.
I think this was kind of a one off just because we weren't, like, I would have vetted him out of my life before we
Yes,
got this far.
right. Hard qualify that guy. No, he's a no. Because, right,
Yeah.
you also need champions internally at a brand versus like pushing all kinds of, trying to knock down all
Well,
kinds of
there,
walls.
I mean, we've all met the clients who are just not going to be happy no matter what you do. And I think, I mean, I just kind of feel too old and crotchety at this point to undertake a program that I know is going to be a nightmare from day one, and it's an uphill battle, and this person's just not going to
Right.
be happy. Like you
Yeah.
can tell those clients immediately.
And it's a super tricky conversation to have afterwards when they say, why didn't this perform? And you say, because of all of these places we made suggestions and you knocked them down.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
You make a lot of enemies that way too. So it's better to just hard qualify.
Yeah.
You're super smart to do that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to vent about in our last couple of minutes? This has turned into a venting session.
Yeah.
Has
Venting.
anyone pissed you off lately, Casey?
Has anything pissed me off? Oh, many, many things. I mean, I'm trying to think of how to keep it a bit clean though. The thing about let me teach you about influencer marketing in 20 minutes or on stage bothered me because I do see that across the board. It's interesting as I'm planning Nimbus and having conversations with brands and agencies that are coming in, how much we're all craving a much deeper conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is the opposite of making me angry. That's making me very hopeful that, and maybe it's not just influencer marketing, but that we're all reaching out in a new and engaged way. I think after COVID, it was like, we're all back together and in person and we can do all these things. And now that has simmered down. And now it's like, where can we actually find meaning? People are, I'm having many more Zoom calls in the last year than even, I think, during the height of COVID. I don't know about you. I feel like it's
versus
phone
regular phone calls
or just email. Yeah, regular phone calls or emails.
I've been trying to make more phone calls. I've been trying to go the opposite direction just because I feel like it's
Less
you
prep.
can do something. There's this woman I was friends with in Chicago, and I met her because she ran this crafting after school program. It was called Crafter School, and it was an after school program
Love it.
for our elementary school because they were around like down the street from our kids' elementary school. And so she would pick them up after school and bring them to her crafter school workshop, and they would do art until I was done with my work or my husband was done with work.
Love
And
that.
she also would do facilitation. I hired her a few times to facilitate retreats for my staff. She's just an awesome creative person. And she told me that anytime she interviewed people to work at her workshop, at her place, she always would hand them a crafting like a project, whether it was just a piece of paper and some crayons or scissors or whatever, a collage. And she always interviewed people over crafts.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very hard when you're doing something with your hands, you are much more honest, and it's hard to make stuff up, and you don't overself. Like, it's just a much more honest and real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that was her little trick. And I just find it's oftentimes easier to have, I become friends with this woman, Allie, and she owns an agency out in California. And she does walk and talks with other female agency owners.
Okay.
Like, it's just, you can have such a real, I think we forget that now, but you can have such a, and I think part of it is because you're walking, or even when I'm on the phone at my house, I grab a Swiffer duster, not sponsored, and I'm like walking around dusting, or I'm folding laundry, or I'm like, there's just something about moving and doing something else with your hands and your feet that makes the conversation more real and more honest. And it's not always appropriate, and it's hard to take notes when you're doing that. So it doesn't always make sense, but
yeah. But that's so funny because I was going to say it makes it more casual in terms of me showing up. But the plus side that you're getting at is the casual vibe helps you really maybe hear someone, who they are, or connect on a more friendly social level than just like business, which I can be guilty of sometimes. I do like the Zoom first.
I like Zoom because you can see people and you get to know.
Put eyes on people, right?
Yeah.
What's their situation?
Yeah. And you see their background. It's always fun to see people's backgrounds and what they have going on.
I've totally updated this. I'm outing myself. I updated my background in the last 6 months because the place that I was over my garage, and there's a sloping ceiling because of the eaves. And somebody once said to me, "Oh, look, you're in the attic." And I was like, that is not the branding I'm going for. So, ta-da, I'm down here now. It's bright and it's a little bit more personalized. Like there was no backdrop.
Yeah.
So I do think, for better or worse, that does matter. But Just, yeah, I'm with you. Zoom for some like get to know someone. And then if I can bump it to a call to handle quick things or to not be so formal of I've got to come over here and set up
Yeah.
versus
And
I'm
then
just on
I'm
my
trying
couch.
to, the face to face interactions are just, that's why you're throwing a conference, but nothing takes the place of seeing people and like just having actually met them.
Yeah. So there's a gentleman coming. I won't say the brand right now, but he said to me, you're going to have to let me know what the dress code is. He said, because if you don't tell me, I'm coming in a tank top and shorts. And I was like,
Bring it.
you should come in a tank top and shorts. Like, I love the idea of him showing up exactly who he is.
Having lived in Chicago for 7 years, I would maybe offer him the advice that end of March tank top, probably not his best bet, but
Listen, I have a brother-in-law who's a shorts all seasons in Michigan. So I will tell him it'll be dicey end of March, but have at it. If
bring a
that's
shawl.
bring your bestest scarf. Yeah. No, but it got me to thinking too, like come in yoga pants, come
Yeah,
in
be
a
comfortable.
jumper if you want to. I don't care. Come in your pajamas. Like I really want it to be about casual to your point. Oh, look at how we're kind of coming full circle, but casual enough so people can show up and not feel like they're constrained by the business paradigms that we sometimes bring to our interactions with each other. Yeah. So not much anger coming from me today. I'm feeling
That's
very,
okay.
very
That's good.
centered, which
We probably don't need two angry ladies at the same time. We can
it's a
take
whole
turns.
different podcast. I'm here for it. Don't get me wrong. Two angry ladies.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a 1 week break for me to get some relaxation in the sunshine.
That for you. Love that for us. Yeah. Good
But
week
we'll be
off.
back. We'll be back mid March
Perfect.
ish.
All right. Have a great trip.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.